you very much. We'll now turn to member questions. The chair recognizes himself for 5 minutes for the purpose of asking questions. Last week during a press conference with Chairman Hill, Thompson, Scott, and Bozeman, the White House's AI and crypto czar David Sachs said the administration's committed to working with Congress on a market structure and stablecoin framework. While financial market regulators have the power to clear up some of the regulatory ambiguity related to the digital asset ecosystem, there's some obvious gaps where no regulator has jurisdiction. I want to start with you, Mr. Garrison. We'll kind of jump around, just a little rapid fire to stage set here. Can you help me describe some of those gaps and explain how the ecosystem's been impacted by them? For example, is the crypto spot market lack a clear federal regulator?
Yes, it does lack.
And is there a regulatory framework for stablecoin and stablecoin issuers?
There is not.
And is DeFi even contemplated by existing law?
It is not.
And the ambiguous legal classification of digital assets, is it security, is it commodity? That's an open question.
Correct.
Okay, so then, Mr. Garrison, in your view, what would be the outcome to the digital asset ecosystem if Congress cannot get these gaps filled? Will companies move offshore to jurisdictions with regulatory certainty or because of possible enforcement actions?
Yes, I think we see that today.
And would you agree with that, Mr. Kim?
Absolutely, Chairman. We're seeing a lot of American businesses moving offshore due to the lack of clarity in the United States.
And you see the same thing, Mr. Yahim?
Absolutely. Regulatory clarity drives investment and growth for businesses like ours.
Would you foresee the U.S. having to import regulatory standards and market practices from other countries if the United States fails to act, Mr. Garrison?
Yes, that is a likely outcome.
And do you think we're already lagging behind in this space today?
Yes, other jurisdictions, including the European Union, United Arab Emirates, and Hong Kong, are further ahead.
And I want to come back to you with there being no standards in the U.S. for some of these crypto companies. Consumers who are trying to vet different projects, different tokens, how is that altering the market with a lack of regulatory clarity in the United States?
There's a lack of consistency in the types of disclosures that are provided and how. There's a lack of consistency in the protections that are provided to persons engaging in digital asset trading.
Let me now jump to you, Mr. Kim, and say, what if we did put in place a framework for stablecoin for the ecosystem to have a regulatory framework governing stablecoin issuances? With those stablecoin ecosystems, can they actually develop with established legacy financial institutions taking part?
Absolutely, Chairman. A comprehensive stablecoin framework will provide certainty and clarity to the industry, allow for U.S. innovation and leadership, and most importantly, protect consumers and investors by giving them various standards and requirements to best protect customers as well.
Mr. Fernandez de Ponte, would you agree with that?
I will. It's a strange circumstance that today the majority of dollar-denominated stablecoins are actually issued outside of the U.S., and there are many jurisdictions that are moving faster in that space. Clarity on the regime in the U.S. would enable American issuers to compete and accelerate financial innovation for the benefit of American businesses and consumers.
And if we provided that regulatory standards for stablecoins, we would be eliminating a major gap in the ecosystem. Is that accurate?
It is, yes.
Okay, so let me continue on. I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Yaham. How do you envision the digital asset ecosystem will change if a federal regulatory framework for digital asset market structure were enacted by Congress?
Well, I think in the first instance, it will allow businesses to plan and invest. It will drive consistency. I think it's also important to keep the international landscape in view. Other jurisdictions have moved forward. And I think as we've seen in other financial market reforms, let's take the Dodd-Frank reforms, for example. Jurisdictions moved in different substantive directions on somewhat similar timelines. The most challenging part of those post-2008 crisis reforms were trying to rationalize cross-border market access for large infrastructure players. These turns into bilateral and geopolitical challenges. And I think we have an opportunity here to avoid those. So I think it's very important that the U.S. Puts a leadership seat at the table.
Thank you. In our final 30 seconds, with new technology, people identify potential risk, and I think we see digital asset skeptics claim that the industry is rife with fraud, with abuse. Could you just very briefly comment on how you're monitoring AML and KYC?
So Kraken invests heavily in the personnel, tools, and technology to detect and prevent illicit finance and any illicit finance being conducted on our platform. We create a very strong ecosystem where we not only monitor and KYC check everyone coming into our environment, but in terms of transactions that come in and out and off of our platform, they're subject to sanction screenings and other compliance tools.
Thank you very much. I yield back.